Welcome to Walking Through Glass, the podcast, with your host, Dr. Dina C. Brown. Uber excited to come to you today with this bonus edition of your daily dose of Dr. Vitamin D. As you recall, I ended up not getting a chance to do my 5th episode during the week, and so I wanted to bring you a bonus Saturday episode of your daily dose of Dr. Vitamin D. And who knows, if this goes well and you're loving it and giving me some love and feeling good, if this is what you need, if you truly need a daily dose, 7 days a week, we might just have to kind of rock with that. So when I got up this morning, I was so excited about getting to the point of sharing with you. And 2 things I realized when I went to my drafts is that, I didn't post yesterday. I don't know what was going on with me. I was just so over the moon with all the yumminess going on at the Hope Global Forum. And then, I was listening to it and noticing, my desire to have like really cheerful music in the background was actually drowning out a lot of my voice, and I wasn't speaking directly into the mic, and especially when I'm not using my headset, because if I'm out. And so I do want to start this episode of my daily dose of Dr. Vitamin D with just giving you a little bit of truth serum. And part of that truth serum is that we have to just take a moment sometimes when we're doing something that we're passionate about to do a real quick check. And we also need those people, not just those listeners out in, World Wide Web land and all across the globe, but those listeners on our day ones that tap in and say, hey, I listened and here's what. And so this episode is also dedicated to my forever sister friend, Janine Cockrell, who was like, hey, I was listening to Blink episode and I couldn't really hear you, what's going on? And so she sent me the message and I was like, yikes, I didn't even pay attention. I was in the airport, I was so uber sleepy, and usually I go back and listen to them, and then I didn't, because I was like, oh, you know what, it's raw, it's uncut, what they get is what they get. Well, you know what, just because it's raw and uncut doesn't mean that it doesn't have to have a certain level of excellence that is still part and parcel to your brand. So, again, I'm going to give you a little truth serum and a little bit of apology for not going back and double checking to make sure that the audio and that my desire for this fun music can oftentimes lead to not being able to hear me, especially when I'm not mic'd up. So here's what I said I'm going to do. Make sure I just kind of put it on 1 because I like that vibe kind of running through there. But I want you to be able to hear my message, especially today's message. Oh my goodness. I'm going to debrief from this weekend, just not today. And I'm probably going to debrief with the video. I'm still processing everything and my takeaways from being here. And I spoke on yesterday in regards to just being in the moment, embracing the power of I am, with the blank after it, meaning I am. And whatever it is that I needed to be that day and to experience in that moment is something I can experience because I'm actually in the moment and I'm not strategizing. So I was speaking on that yesterday. So if you want to go back to, actually I posted today, it's episode 33, and it says embrace my daily purpose or your daily purpose, something to that effect. And today, oh my goodness, I'm exhaling. So today's episode is about exhaling. Exhaling out a lot of things that has been choking us from the inside out. Exhaling some mindsets. Exhaling some toxicity. And I'm going to add an extra E. Exhaling and expelling those people and things from our lives that don't add value. We can never speak to this enough. I find that out because it seems to be a reoccurring challenge, or especially for us as women, that we hang on to things. And me coming back to Atlanta for these few days, it held some nostalgia. And for like 2 seconds, I was thinking about, my old house, my old life, my old marriage, all of that stuff. And I don't want that back per se, but I was reflecting on the life that I had, or the semblance of the life that I had. And any and every time I came to Atlanta before, that piece of it just really played on my spirit. It really did. It played on my spirit, and I would go through this spirally piece. And I realized that when I came back this time and I looked around, and Atlanta's changing and growing, and it's becoming even more and everything that I thought it would be over 10 years ago, I thought I could live here. For me to get to that place in this season to say, oh, I could live here again, was huge. Xavier graduates next year, and I said, when he graduates, who knows where I'll end up, because I'm just going to go wherever my purpose and path and calling takes me. And I have some ideas, because in building the CEO Sanctuary for Women, I'm looking at specific properties and villages and things like that to own and to cultivate, but I don't know exactly where the exact place is right now. So, on that additional piece to that, I opened my devotional. I wanted to make time today because I had been running, and I got up and I was running behind. So again, I didn't get a chance to share my devotional. And my devotional comes from Jesus Calling, Enjoying Peace in His Presence by Sarah Young. It's an amazing devotional, and it was given to me by an extraordinary woman. I call her my mentor and my sponsor. And it's important, and we'll talk in another episode about really having those people in your life who not only just support you and say, I got you, but then also provide opportunities to open the door for you and say, hey, let me personally introduce you to such and such. You still got to do it when you get to the table. You still got to execute. But they open the door and say, hey, let me bring you to the table. Let me bring this opportunity, and let me introduce you personally using my credentials and my credit to get you in. And I'm forever grateful for our relationship and our friendship on a spiritual level and on a personal level as well. And so she gave me this Jesus Calling, and I've been going back. I read yesterday's and today's, and so I want to share with you and then speak to my devotional today. Here's my devotional today, June 1st. It's June 1st. Whew. It reads, I am involved in each moment of your life. I have carefully mapped out every inch of your journey through this day, even though much of it may feel haphazard. Because the world is in a fallen condition, things always seem to be unraveling around the edges. Expect to find trouble in this day. At the same time, trust that my way is perfect, even in the midst of such messy imperfection. Stay conscious of me as you grow through, I said grow, but it says go through this day. Remembering that I never leave your side. Let the Holy Spirit guide you step by step, protecting you from unnecessary trials and equipping you to get through whatever must be endured. As you trudge through the sludge of this fallen world, keep your mind in heavenly places with me. Thus the light of my presence shines on you, giving you peace and joy that circumstances cannot touch. I'm going to read that again, because when I read that last part, when I say I nearly jumped from this hotel bed and tears streaming down my face, because God knows. And I'll just say He knows everything that I prayed to, that I believed for, and that I finally exhaled to say, this is what I truly want. This is the vision I have, and I'm ready to share it So when I read the part that says, thus the light of my presence shines on you, giving you peace and joy that circumstances cannot touch. You see, in exhaling and even expelling, things can get ugly. It can be very painful. As you begin to shed all those things that are not necessary for you to grow to your next greater, to evolve and transform at this higher level and in this new space. And when I say new space, the fact that the space might have been there, but this version of you didn't necessarily fit there because you hadn't grown and evolved to the level you needed to be at to be able to thrive there. So when we think about inhaling, and sometimes we hold our breath, we're waiting, we're trying to see, we're trying to figure it out, we're trying to get it all, whatever. And then when we exhale and we begin to settle in, we cannot forget to expel all of the things that no longer add value. This may sound a tad bit grotesque, but even when you give birth, physical birth, a baby birth, and the baby comes out, the umbilical cord is attached to the umbilical cord, just like that, there's this big pouch of placenta that fed and nourished, that must be expelled out as well. So when you're giving, because why? It's no longer needed inside of you, and the baby doesn't need to feed off of that from inside of you. It did its job, it did its purpose. And now it's time for it to go. Because if you left it there, it would be toxic in your system. Okay? So, let's fast forward, transformationally speaking, metaphorically intentional to your dreams. I'm talking about your dreams, and that is what you are called to do. You are called to do something, not just anything. So that's what I'm speaking to when I say your dreams. And when you get clear about that, you can be confident in all of the things you need to do to gear up and put in your toolbox and become consistent about executing it. So when you're expelling everything that made you who you are today, because you needed it to get to this point, to fit into this version at such a time as now on your journey. You have to be cognizant and aware that you don't bring that placenta. You don't bring all of which you don't need anymore with you. And that could also include people. It could include ideas. It can include past hurts. It can include lots of things. The things that don't add and help grow you in this season of your life. So although those things may have good, bad, or indifferent, may have fertilized your dreams and ignited your passions, now that you are flying and walking in your purpose and your calling, some of those things are not necessary. And in the process of having clarity about what that is the true challenge. That's the part that hurts. Especially when you have to look at people, places, situations, and things and realize that although you love them, you enjoy them, they don't have value to you anymore. They may have brought you joy at one time. You might have thought you were happy with it at one point. But in this day, in this season, this time, it has zero of the above. So on today's Daily Dose of your Dr. Vitamin D, I want to encourage you. I want to say I stand with you shoulder to shoulder. And not only exhaling, I've inhaled so much. It feels so good to exhale. And now the struggle is in expelling. Because it requires some extra push. But you can do it. I believe in you. I believe in me. And I love myself first and foremost and with great abundance, which gives me the capacity to fully love you. That is what walking through the glass is all about. Is knowing that it may cut, it might hurt, it may be uncomfortable, it might be messy, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm here for you. Those in our tribe are here for you. I appreciate any and every single one of you that has gifted me with your time and listening to this podcast. And I ask of you to do me a solid. Number one, share. If today's message resonates with you, or you think, oh my goodness, so-and-so needs to hear this, please share. They can listen on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Music Play. If they want to listen, they'll figure it out. They'll get away. You can subscribe. And if you really want to show your girls some love, please feel free to leave a comment and a review, especially on iTunes, because it's also about getting the reach and beginning to generate that momentum. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate the fact that if there's something that I said that was a disconnect, I want to know that too. I want to know. What do you want to talk about? I want to know all of that and then some, because again, in our sisterhood and our leadership movement, where we are unapologetically authentic about walking and operating our calling, we support each other. And I look forward to supporting you. So thank you today for listening. And just realize that until you love yourself first, it will be very difficult for anyone else to even know how to love you, because you don't even know. So exhale all of that stuff that's been holding you back. So it's almost like you're washed clean. And also expel any residual things that were left over from your trials and tribulations that grew you to who you are today, so that you can truly fly. You can truly walk and run and go boldly into that in which you were called to do. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining me. This was your host, Dr. Dina C. Brown, and this is your podcast, Walking Through Glass. Have an amazing day and do something to brighten someone's day, starting with yourself. Bye-bye.